Talk to you first, Prince Leka. Thank you very much for joining the programme tonight. I read your tweet with great interest. You were clearly incensed by the use of language by the Home Secretary. I share your anger at the language she used. I thought it was completely unnecessary. However, and it is an important however, I think the British people have been surprised to discover now that the majority of people coming into the country illegally on these boats across the Channel are now from Albania, which is not a war-torn country at the moment, and they're just bemused as to why this is happening. So let me start with Suella Braverman's views. Why were you so angered by those?
Thank you very much, Piers, for welcoming me on your show. I'm in Tirana, and it's a wonderful opportunity to actually express the human aspect of this issue. This afternoon, I had a cordial conversation with the British ambassador, and he reconfirmed to myself, as well as he has reconfirmed to the Albanian authorities, that the comments are not a reflection of the British government, and it's not the political stance of the British government towards Albania. And I would be very happy to say that Albania and the United Kingdom have fantastic relations. We are working on a number of multilateral stances. We are allies in the war in Ukraine. Albania is a co-signer in the Security Council in protecting the rights and freedoms of the Ukrainians. Albanians are actively working within the confines of NATO and making sure that we are a proud contributor. We've welcomed over 4,000 refugees from Afghanistan to Albania. We are continuously trying to work on different fronts. So we are currently under attack from Iranian cyber warfare, which has had huge impacts on our cybernetic infrastructure. And we are on the forefront of this global stance of freedom. But obviously, the stance and the rhetoric which has been used in the general media has had an impact. And I have taken this unorthodox stance in going away from the royal position of silence. And I thought that it was needed that we have to mention that the majority of Albanians in the UK are hardworking individuals. We have, and the 12,000 Albanians, in considering the proportionality of the situation, the United Kingdom has over 6.5 million immigrants. 12,000 Albanians cannot be considered an invasion. And I'm very sad that this harsh tone of events is having impacts on the hardworking Albanians currently living in England. I've spoken to family, friends who are in the UK, and some of them have actually pulled their children out of schools because they feel that this xenophobic attitude is reflecting on their lives. And this is why I took this unorthodox stance and actually making a few comments at very late at night on Twitter, because I believe very strongly that we have to find tangible results of overcoming this issue and building upon the very strong relations that we Albanians and the UK have together.
Have you had any conversation with the new Prime Minister, Rishi Sunak, about this?
I have not, and I know that the Albanian Prime Minister is in contact and is communicating. He has also come out with a very, very strong stance that this is not a reflection of the fantastic relations that we have as two different countries.
Okay,
the bilateral relations can't be improved.
Let me bring in Richard Tice here. Richard, there's a lot of agitation in the UK about these new statistics, which seem to be suggesting that there is a large number of young Albanian men coming in illegally, and the suspicion is that many of them are coming to join gangs in the UK. Now, it's hard to assess, I guess, exactly what percentage may be, and it's quite clear that many of them will be legitimate and genuine asylum seekers and refugees. Where do we draw the line here? What is your view of this?
Well, it appears I'm the person that broke the story a few months ago that 4 in 10 of the migrants are coming from Albania, a NATO member, and as the Crown Prince quite rightly says, we have good relations, and the vast majority of Albanians are wonderful people, and we go on holiday there and vice versa. But let's remember, Piers, these people are coming here in these boats illegally. They are illegally entering the country, about 12,000 of them now, when actually Albanians can happily, legally, lawfully come on a 6-month visa. They can come and work in the United Kingdom. It costs them a few £100s to get such a visa. So if they are legitimate, decent, good, law-abiding citizens of Albania that want to come and contribute to British society, why are they not coming legally and lawfully? The only reason that they would pay 10 times that amount to come on a perilous journey in a small boat across the Channel, regrettably, is because they may have different objectives. We know that it's a question of fact that Albanian criminals are the largest group of foreign nationals in our jails, and we know that many of these Albanians are disappearing within days and going to join the Albanian criminal gangs that have now completely taken over and brutally, violently dominated our cocaine trade, our cannabis trade, in a horrific way in the towns and cities across the country. They're making vast profits. They need more foot soldiers to get rid of the huge profits. They're money laundering through car washes. They're setting up barber shops in towns and high streets across the country, even candy shops now. And, you know, the British people have had enough, and the Home Secretary expressed the frustration of millions and millions of British people that this criminal activity has to stop. It's no reflection of the wonderful Albanians that the Crown Prince mentioned. It is a reflection of the deep concern about the significant, brutal, violent Albanian criminal gangsters that are causing chaos, violence and murder on our streets.
OK, let me put this back to the Crown Prince. I mean, there's some interesting statistics here where in 2020, 50 Albanians arrived on these small boats. In 2021, 800. And in 2022, 12,000. So there is clearly a massive seismic shift in numbers here. And it is true, as Richard Tice says, that there are currently 1,336 Albanians imprisoned in England and Wales, and that is the highest foreign nationality incarcerated in that year. So there is clearly a problem with a criminal element here, and the number that are now making the crossing is exponentially rising at such a rate that it would seem to suggest that this can't be divorced in many of these cases from potential criminality. What would you say to that?
Well, the first thing, I'm an advocate of free movement. And it's not true that Albanians are given the opportunity to travel freely in the United Kingdom. They're not issued visas. And when you are forced, you're not given that opportunity of free movement. A lot of youngsters from not only Albania, but the majority of Albanians are coming from other European countries because of the pandemic and because of the foreseen recession, which Europe is going to be facing in the next 2 years. So a lot of these young Albanians are trying to find means and methods of crossing into Europe. And unfortunately, once they take that route, which is the illegal route, they are the victims of gangs, organized crime. And this is something which I've spoken to your ambassador about. I'm trying to promote in the sense that we have to find tangible ways of making sure that Albanians are able to travel securely to the UK. And the majority, 53% of Albanians who do go to the UK are got legitimate concerns. They have different issues and they are given a permission to stay. Those elements which are forced to go through the illegal routes often don't have the opportunity and that freedom to go back to Albania. And we all know that the new modern TikTok, Instagram view of immigration in the UK is a blurred image of reality. And I believe if working with the Albanian government, working with the corporations, on the international level, we're able to provide this free movement. Majority of Albanians who go with this false impression of a glorious life in the UK will return. I do take hindrance that the majority of Albanians are going to go into crime. A lot of Albanians want to be proactive. They see England as a fantastic country which has provided over the generations servitude. My own family in 1939, when Albania was invaded by the fascists, we went to the UK. We were given refuge, and it's something which I resonate very, very much myself. I myself was educated in the UK, and I was given the opportunity to join the Royal Military Academy Sandhurst, where I commissioned as an officer. And I see that we have a very strong friendship. But I don't like this improportionate, and we're talking about proportionality, of the British narrative focusing on Albanians, when at the same time we were talking about the month of June, where we had 100 more Albanians than other countries. And legitimately, other countries from the Middle East as well as Africa have different issues.
Can I ask you, when you said you
should not be the focus of this debate.
When you said you spoke to the British ambassador, did the British ambassador directly apologise to you for the use of language by the Home Secretary, the use of the phrase invasion?
So we don't, nor has Albania requested apology, because we understand that there is a very strong internal debate within the UK. The situation is very intense, and it's our stance not to be involved in local politics of the United Kingdom. I think Albania has its own intense politics, and I've heard very strong words from the Albanian opposition. Understandably, that a lot of Albanians travelling to the UK are Albanians who are from the right of the political spectrum, that don't find opportunities within the country. But understand the origins of Albania. Albania was a country which for over 50 years was a victim of the harshest regime of communism. We've come out of communism finding ourselves in a prolonged transition period, which has had an enormous effect on the lives of the people. And many Albanians who are getting a wage of less than £250 a month want to see a change. And although Albania is a developing country, and a country which is having incredible tourism over the last years, encouraging foreign investment, a lot of these benefits are not being seen by the majority of young Albanians in the villages. So there are issues which I hope that we will be able to tackle, but we have to tackle this together.
Let me just give
this is a need.
I understand. Let me give a final word there to Richard Tice. Richard, has anything the Crown Prince said made you think again about your position on this?
Not at all, Piers. I would remind the Crown Prince, we don't have a free movement arrangement with Albania. We do have a visa scheme. I checked it today. It's £259. You'll get a decision within 3 or 4 weeks. No one is forced to come illegally to the United Kingdom in small boats, and many of them disappearing, as I say, within days to join gangs. Just recently, a number of them were caught in cannabis farms. We know that some Albanian criminals who've just been deported within days have come back across the channel in boats. I think the Crown Prince needs to reflect on the fact that, unfortunately, there is a significant criminal element who are coming to the United Kingdom and who are brutally, violently targeting our towns and cities, making illegal profits, and it's got to stop.
We've heard both sides of the argument very loudly and clearly. Richard Tice, thank you very much. And Crown Prince Leka, I do really appreciate you coming on the programme. Thank you very much.
No, thank you very much, sir.